At the midway point of the season, let's take a look back at what's happened so far and see how everybody's been doing so far in this season. Rossini, first in the first in the constructors, first in the constructors. Dieter Wexler leading the way in the drivers, and Nilo Sarian second in the driver standings. The Rossini team have done fairly well so far. Both drivers performing as advertised, as experienced but stable hands. Although surprisingly, it's Nilo Sarian with more wins on the season than teammate Wexler. Although both drivers are leading the standings at the moment thanks to Chapman's shenanigans at home, so they both have a shot at the title for now. Rossini has been known for throwing team orders to try and let the lead driver win. In this case, Wexler, to try and let their main man win. Will they do that for Wexler later in the season, or will they allow their drivers to race for the title? This has turned out poorly in the past, but we'll see what happens this time around with this Rossini squad. Steinman Motorsport. Car 44, Harry Chapman, third in the standings. Car 6, Nina Holtz, fourth in the standings. Steinman Motorsports is second in the constructors. The Steinman team have been a bit hit or miss so far this season. They started off the season so well with Chapman scoring two wins in the first two races to take a lead in the driver standings as Rossini fumbled the bag in Doha, and Wexler's penalty cost him a win there. But ever since then, they've been a bit quiet. They have not scored a win since Chapman's first two wins at the start of the season, and Holtz has been a bit anonymous in the second car. Holtz has finished every race in the points, which is good, but is a whopping 49 points off the championship leader. And Chapman's crash at home from the lead, and to take the championship lead as well, it doesn't help matters going into the second half of the season, especially with the next round being at Milan, Rossini's home turf, and a track that Wexler and Sarian know very well, followed by the Ardennes track in a few races' time, which is Sarian's territory as well. So the Steinman squad have their work cut out for them to try and maintain form going into the second half of the season. The first thing they need to do is just simply win another race. Panther Race Team, third in the constructor standings. Car 3, Zoe Sharp, fifth in the standings with 85 points. Car 26, Nikolai Surkov, seventh in the standings, 45 points. The Panther Race Team, with their new Panther Powertrains division, have done respectively for their first season building their own engines. However, the downside of this is that the car is just simply not fast enough. Whether it's down to the car just simply not having enough downforce, having enough grip in the corners, or their new engine is to be determined. There hasn't been a particular weakness on any specific track. The car is just simply not fast enough. That and Nikolai Surkov has seemed to gone AWOL and gone missing in a few races, either getting stuck at the back after a first lap collision or in different qualifying form. Sharp, however, despite the car's performance, has managed to claim a win, a brilliant job in Black Sea, but they're going to need a bit more effort to be able to actually start contending for more than just a single win, and also, they need to figure out what on earth is wrong with Surkov so that he can actually start contributing more points to the team. Otherwise, people will start knocking on the door for that second Panther seat. Windsor Toyota, fourth in the standings. Car 77, Aki Lipinen, sixth in the standings with 60 points. Car 19, Anna Oliveira, is eighth in the standings on 32 points. The Windsor squad have done pretty much what they needed to do so far this season. They're leading the best of the rest behind the top three teams at the moment, and both of their drivers have done well. No podiums have occurred so far this season for either driver, but they've had some pretty good drives nonetheless, including Oliveira's surprising drive in Cape Town until strategy and weather played a factor in her falling down the order. Although there have been a few minor issues, Oliveira going missing once or twice, and Lipinen DNFing as well. But otherwise, the team has done fairly well for themselves. They just need to keep the momentum going and maybe push to try and get a podium later in the season if things go their way. Katana Sport, 5th in the standings. Car 14, Javier Vasquez, 10th in the standings on 17 points. Car 22, Jenny North, 11th in the standings on 16 points. Nothing too surprising for the Katana team this season. The car has been decent enough, despite their engine not being up to the standards that they hoped for. They still need to work on that. But the drivers have done decently well in what is turning out to be their swan song seasons. Both of them announcing that they're retiring at the end of the year. So a question of who will fill those cars next season is going to start, especially after the halfway point of the season. But both drivers are doing fairly well, getting a decent haul of points, and both are lurking on being in the top 10 in the point standings. So they're doing as best as they can for the time being. But again, their driver situation going into next season will be the big thing, along with if they can fix that engine development that's been haunting them so far this season. Vandoorne BMW, 6th in the standings. Car 27, Wolfgang Schmidt, 13th in the standings on 12 points. Maria Gonzalez, car 11, 9th in the standings on 17 points. A bit of a surprising season for Vandoorne, for all the wrong reasons, surprisingly. Wolfgang Schmidt was expected to be a potential podium scorer and a top 5 finisher. That hasn't happened for him so far this season. He has suffered two DNFs and only a best finish of 6. Whereas Maria Gonzalez, surprisingly, has done fairly well for herself and is actually outscoring the German driver in the German team. Well, the German-British team. But regardless, the team is also not where they want to be in terms of the standings as well. Being outdone, despite having Gonzalez ahead of both drivers in the standings, they are behind Catano in the constructor standings thanks to Schmidt's indifferent season so far. They're also quite a long way off the two Windsor drivers and Windsor in the constructor standings. So that hasn't gone to plan for them either. This team's got a long way to go if they actually want to be best of the rest. Lucky Strike Cosworth, 7th in the standings. Car 98, Iker Vidal, 12th in the standings on 12 points, and Jeremy Woodford has 0 points in car 28. His best result is 16th. The Lucky Strike team has had quite a bit of good and bad luck so far this season. Good luck in getting decent drivers like Iker Vidal on their side, who has gotten all their points so far this season of 14. And also a pay driver in Jeremy Woodford. The downside, Jeremy Woodford. His best result is 16th, and his best result is 16th with a next best result of 21st 4 times. With also 3 DNFs, tying him for the most of the season alongside another driver, Esteban Ribeiro. Woodford is just simply not good enough at the moment, but he does bring money for this young upstart team which desperately needs it. Although they're going to have to rely on Vidal for the foreseeable future for this team, as it appears, as their development driver Castrati doesn't appear to be ready yet. Although the team does seem to have a decent package, all things considered, they just need to see if they can develop it through the rest of the season. Rizzardo Corsa Maserati, 8th in the constructor standings. Car 33, Rick de Graaf, has all of the team's points at the moment of 10, and Lucia Flores, car 55, has 0 points with a best finish of 13th. This team has been a bit hit or miss so far this season. The drivers will occasionally dazzle with stunning performances, only to completely fall off the map in the middle of the race for no reason. Perhaps it's down to their driver's lack of experience. Perhaps it's the car. Perhaps it's the team strategy, or the tire management. Who can say? It seems to be one thing or another throughout the course of the season. Rick de Graaf clearly seems to be the better of the two drivers at the moment, with him having all the points and Flores having none. But the car just simply isn't good enough to be a consistent point scorer, although de Graaf can certainly wheel the thing into Q3 or just outside Q3 on several occasions. So, this team is going to be a bit interesting to see what happens going in the future. Both drivers don't appear to like each other at the moment, given the vastly different fortunes they've been dealing with so far this season. So, will one of them go, or will both go, or will neither of them go, and Team Young Guns can stick together? Only time will tell with this squad. Asia Road Racing Team. 9th in the constructor standings with 3 points. Car 99, Rick Casserly, no points, best finish of 15th. Car 64, Sinajon O'Hamron, 3 points. And 3 points, and one of the last ones and 14th in the standings. And car 81, Kayahisha Bashir. The Asia Road Racing Team have had a bit of an interesting season. Getting points is the big thing, thanks to Hamron. Although Rick Casserly's saga of being mad at pretty much everyone in that team is a bit of an unhealthy thing for the team to have so far this season. Him being British, whereas the team is promoting Asian talent, certainly does not help. However, the bigger issue now is that Casserly has broken his foot after his smash in the Wet and Wild Guilford race, which has now left him out of action with a broken metatarsal. In comes 26-year-old Japanese driver Kayahisha Bashir from the Japanese Super Series. He's a bit of an unknown quality in terms of this type of racing, but he has open wheel experience elsewhere, which could prove useful. The question is, will the car be good enough to allow him to show his talents, or will Hamron continue to show that he should be the driver to lead the team going forward? And what will happen to Casserly if and when he comes back? Rumors have it he'll be back in time for the race in Sydney in a couple weeks' time. Thornton Lamborghini, 10th in the standings with 1 point. Car 8, Samuel Blanc, 1 point, 16th in the standings. Car 13, Alejandro Moreno, no points, best finish of 13th. To say this team has been a bit of a disappointment this season is a bit of an understatement. The Lamborghini deal that this team fought so hard to get in the off season turned out to not be as good of a deal as previously thought. Those Lamborghini engines, while decently powerful, have not been powerful enough to provide this team any sort of luck. The car's downforce has also been a major issue, as the car seems to be evil handling at times. The drivers struggling to get out of Q1 in one session, and sometimes almost getting into Q3 in another. This car's been all over the place, and it hasn't helped the drivers at all. Moreno has been definitely the worser of the two with this car. It's not suiting its handling style at all. However, though, he hasn't helped himself either with pretty disappointing drives. His best finish may be 13th. However, that race was not the wet Guilford race that just happened, with him finishing 14th and last of the remaining drivers. You think that with a race of such high attrition, he would at least be in contention to maybe score a point. He was not. He wasn't even close. So it begs the question as to why he's still here, aside from his Venezuelan oil money. Samuel Blanc, who's only 1 year older than Moreno, hasn't looked the best either, but the fact that he's managed to steal a point in this car at least shows that he still has something left to give for this team and in this series. But what time will tell whether these two drivers stick around at the end of the season, and if Thornton can get their act together and get this car going in the right direction. Hopefully not backwards. Catorce Corsa, 11th in the standings, no points. Car 29, Pracho Batia. Car 60, Kofi Coro. And car 39, Aurel Mazario. This car has simply just not been good. It's been quite a bit of a dog, to be honest, and not in the good way. The drivers are doing the best they can with the equipment they have, but the poor start to the season definitely didn't help matters. And also failing to capitalize on getting points in the Guilford race where 10 cars retired and neither of their drivers and only one of their drivers didn't help matters, including Attia retiring with only 14 laps to go. So this team has quite a few questions to ask for themselves at the moment. The bright side is that Attia's 12th place currently has them ahead on countback of their rival, the Valan Audi squad of all teams. But they're going to have to hope that they either A, get a better result and get a point perhaps, or B, Valan continue to not score a point and they survive on dint of countback. It's not looking good for this. It's not looking good for the Italian team. They're going to have to hope that things will turn around starting at their home race next time out. And then Valan. We have 8. We have 9. We have 9, 9 and 12, and yeah, 9 and 12. Longest best result is 12th. And Ribeiro's is 15th. Valan Audi. The Valan squad, despite having a great Audi engine and a really good-looking car, have struggled immensely. 12th in the standings, no points. Car 9, Cyril Lundqvist. Car 12, Esteban Ribeiro. The team just simply needs to find more pace and find more luck. Ribeiro is tied for having the most DNS of the season on 3, and Cyril Lundqvist has tied Attia's result of 12 in that Guilford race, which should have provided much more for them, given that they were running the points for quite a long time in that race, until Cyril just plummeted out of the points. Ribeiro, on the other hand, has had multiple mechanical failures which have not helped him at all. This team has a decent car. It's just simply they're not executing well enough to be able to actually make use of it. They need to hope that their form improves in the second half of the season. Otherwise, they'll be at the risk of demotion instead of the rivals that they should realistically be ahead of. It's not looking good for the Valan squad. Looking forward to the second half of the season, though. The Milan Grand Prix is the next race on the calendar, which will also open up the controversial weight stripping rule, which allows teams to sacrifice reliability on their cars for extra performance. It'll be interesting to see if any teams take advantage of this, and if it affects anything in some of the races going forward. There's a run of 3 power tracks in a row to start the second half of the season, starting with Milan, then going on to Ardennes, and then off to the half oval of Phoenix. And then it's several downforce heavy tracks in Vancouver, Singapore, and Sydney, before two high speed circuits in Rio and Dubai to finish the season. It'll be interesting to see which teams thrive and struggle, given the very hit or miss, the very high and low speed nature of the remaining tracks on the circuit. only time will tell who wins this season. And with the standings still fairly open between the top three drivers, with Holton Sharp still outside hopes of the title, anything is still possible in this series. And the fight to not be demoted is still very interesting as well. So with that out of the way, on to the second half of the 2016 season.